No DQ Galaxy, we are live with the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for Groundhog Day, February the 2nd, 2021. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. As always, I appreciate your viewership and support. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, a like over on YouTube. With that being said, let's get right to it. We were in the city of Chicago. Snowstorm hitting the Midwest, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, all over the place. Chicago, despite the storm, brought the energy for this show. Chicago, one of the great AEW cities. We kicked off the show with Jon Moxley versus not Brian Kendrick, but rather Wheeler Yuta, who lost to Jon Moxley several months ago. He actually got squashed by Moxley in a very short match right before Moxley took his leave of absence. Unfortunately, some past interview comments from Brian Kendrick caught up with him. They resurfaced, and Tony Khan made the decision to pull Kendrick from the show. This was supposed to be Kendrick's debut with AEW, and who knows if he'll even get an opportunity at this point. For those of you that missed what happened, head over to NoDQ.com. You can read about it and hear the interview comments. You can read the comments over on NoDQ.com. So we had Wheeler Yuta filling in for Brian Kendrick, and Yuta had Orange Cassidy and Danhausen with him. Danhausen made his debut last week, and there was really no promo from him or anything to explain who he is to people that might not be familiar with him. He was just standing out there with Orange Cassidy. He was there in his Dracula cape, and at one point he put his curse on Jon Moxley. Spoiler alert, the curse did not work, but Orange Cassidy and Danhausen did provide a distraction, which gave Wheeler Yuta a bit more offense than the previous match. He did have a better showing, but Jon Moxley was able to pick up the victory. Despite that, he won with a paradigm shift. And then afterwards, we had a post-match promo segment between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, who has been watching Moxley over the past few weeks. Bryan Danielson said that for the longest time he wanted to fight Jon Moxley. However, he saw what happened with Moxley as the world champion. He feels that Moxley was the greatest world champion in AEW history, but needed more support. And if Moxley had that support, he would still be the champion. Danielson said that instead of them fighting against each other, maybe they should work together. He said that together they could run the place. They could take people under their wing. They could take somebody like Wheeler Yuta and make him a big deal. Brian said that Yuta was out there with a couple of jokes, like Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. He said that they could take these guys and they could make the future of wrestling together. They could train these guys to be the future. He said that even if people don't like him, they know what he's talking about. They like what he's talking about. And he said that he would give Moxley some time to think about it and offered a handshake, but Moxley wasn't exactly ready to commit, at least just yet. So nice angle here. I liked it. Danielson always does a great job, and it keeps you intrigued to see what happens next. Will Moxley take the offer? He's kind of a lone wolf, but maybe he'll join up with Danielson. I'm curious to see where they go with this. So well done segment here. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, what's up, Aaron? I really hope Tony Khan doesn't F this up by booking Moxley to decline this offer. Give the fans what they want and have these two team up. I'm kind of hoping that that's the direction it goes because, Moxley, he is a loner, though. That is his character. But if they worked together and formed this two-man power trip and had these guys that you could start taking more seriously, it could really turn into something. I am intrigued by the idea of this group being formed. And Brian had mentioned guys like Daniel Garcia, and the crowd popped for that when Brian said he could take this guy and make something out of him. I kind of want to see Moxley take him up on the offer, but yeah, it's hard to say where it's going to go. Knowing Moxley's character, Moxley is very much a lone wolf, but it was a very good storyline here to tease what might not happen in the future with these guys. I mean, I could very well see Moxley just turning it down and they have a match, but maybe not. Who knows? Moving on here, we had Brandi Rhodes in the ring for a promo. And she called the place Cleveland, Ohio. Basically said it's the same thing as Chicago, cold with a lot of snow. Well, she's not wrong about that one. Well, I would say Chicago, with all due respect to my friends in Cleveland, a little bit more of an interesting town. I've been to both, so I can say that. We had her interrupted by Dan Lambert. And of course, he used the word shit because that's what he does to be edgy. He says that Brandi Rhodes believes her own bullshit, and he almost feels like a decent human being standing next to her. You had Ethan Page laughing as Dan Lambert was insulting Brandi, and Brandi responded by saying they only hired Ethan Page because they wanted to get Josh Alexander. Who is Josh Alexander? Now, I know who he is. He's in Impact Wrestling. I know who he is. But they're making a very inside reference to a promotion that not many people watch these days. Very inside reference, which is fine. It's the AEW audience. They're most likely going to get the reference. But if you got those people from the Big Bang Theory that are still watching, they're going to be totally lost. Just saying. Anyways, Brandi was taking shots at America's Top Team. Again, if you follow all of Dan Lambert's stuff outside of wrestling, then cool, you get all the references. But if you're somebody who doesn't, you're just like, what? What is she talking about? Crowd was chanting, "Shut the F up," I presume at her. And she's probably going to see this as good heat. She started talking about the people in America Top Team, and Lambert started talking about her trying to turn face, but then we had Paige Van Zant come down, and there was a big brawl. The locker room emptied out, and man, did I not care about this segment. I really have no interest in seeing Brandi Rhodes really wrestle anybody. And Paige Van Zant, some people are like, well, cool, we'll get to see her beat up Brandi. But man, I just don't care. I have little to no interest in this. And AEW doesn't miss often, but this segment was a miss for sure. DJW with a $2 super chat says, is it me or is Dan Lambert more cringy by the promo? Yeah. His shelf life is over. Like it was funny and edgy the first time I heard his promo, but every promo was basically the same thing. And he comes out there, he tries too hard. When he's out there cutting a promo, it sounds like he's trying too hard to cut the edgy wrestling promo, and it's kind of boring now. And the Brandi stuff, she's just not good at it. She tries to go out there and think she's getting the cool points with the fan base by making the inside references, but that doesn't work for me. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty weak segment, and I have no interest in seeing anything from these guys moving forward here. Moving on here, we had Malachi Black and Brody King versus Penta and Pac, who was wearing his blindfold, and he actually started the match with the blindfold. He did take it off after about a minute or so. I was kind of hoping that he would keep the blindfold on and just make this his gimmick where he wrestles with the blindfold. Sure, you can have it gimmicked or whatever, but it would kind of be cool, like if he was a wrestler who wore a blindfold and could just sense when you're coming at him, and he could wrestle without his sight and still kick your ass. Like, I think that would be a really cool gimmick, but no, he took off the blindfold, and that was that. So anyways, good match here, back and forth between the two teams. Lots of high-flying action. Pac and Penta went for the fear factor, but Brody knocked Pac off the apron. And then when the referee was distracted, Black used his mist on Penta. And then Black and Brody hit the Dante's Inferno double team finisher, and they picked up the win. So yeah, good match here. I am kind of bummed out, though, that Pac did not keep the blindfold on and just make that his gimmick at this point. We had Ruby Soho versus Nyla Rose, and the singer from Rancid was at ringside for this match. A pretty standard women's match. Was not at the 9:30 time slot. It was a little bit sooner because the main event actually took up a very significant part of the second hour, and we'll get to that here in just a few moments. So Nyla got the upper hand for a while. Ruby made a comeback, dropped Nyla face first on the apron. But then you had Vicky Guerrero providing a distraction, and Nyla took advantage with a spine buster. And then Ruby made another comeback. She hit the no future kick, but then Vicky Guerrero put the foot on the rope. That broke up the pinfall. Then Ruby just lost her cool, went after Vicky, and Nyla took advantage of this. Nyla picked up the win, hit a swanton off the top, and then the beast bomb. So stupid babyface Ruby Soho lost her cool, and she lost because she couldn't just focus on her opponent. She had to get distracted by Vicky Guerrero. So it was fine, but pretty much standard stuff that you'll see on Dynamite, on Raw, SmackDown. Very, very standard stuff here. Moving on here, we had a couple of backstage segments. We had Adam Cole backstage and talked about how he's still undefeated because, the whole match with Orange Cassidy was unsanctioned. And he said he's not getting respect in AEW, and he's gonna get some respect by beating Evil Uno on Rampage. Well, Adam, I don't have to watch Rampage to know that you will beat Evil Uno. Just saying. And then we had Billy and the Ass Boys backstage, and they were making fun of Jungle Boy. They attacked him, and they took him outside, and they threw him into the snow. So they managed to have a segment with the snow, taking advantage of the snowstorm. Why not? Then we had Tony Schiavone interviewing the world champion, Hangman Adam Page, to talk about next week's AEW World Title match, a Texas Death Match. Still is Adam Page waiting to defend his title. He's only had 2 defenses in the 3 months that he's been champion. He wanted to fight right there in Chicago against Lance Archer. We had Dan Lambert again. So Dan Lambert's in 2 storylines right now. Why? Jake Roberts was there. Why does Lance Archer have 2 managers? I don't know. But a big fight broke out. Lance Archer got the upper hand here, and he choke slammed Page on the steps and put Page through the table with the blackout. And I'm sure it'll be a good match next week, but my gut feeling is still your AEW World Champion next week, Hangman Adam Page. Caleb Jacobs is here. We haven't seen him for a while. Welcome back, Caleb. He says, I am here for one night only. Here's something, Aaron, just because you're a nice guy. Brandi mode an inside joke about the North Tag Team. Well, thank you for that, Caleb. I do appreciate it. Brandi made an inside joke about. I was thinking Brandi mode like Brie mode, but anyways, thank you, Caleb. I appreciate it. Nice to have you here, even if it's just for one night. And Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat, says, sorry, I want Page to lose the title to MJF already. Why did you spell Page's name like female Page? Just wondering, Walter Cruz. And when you put Page there, I was thinking Paige Van Zandt, because there's so many Pages. There's Ethan Page, Adam Page, Paige Van Zandt. WWE would never allow this to happen with so many people having the same last name. We had Chris Jericho backstage saying he's the influencer. I guess that's his new gimmick now. He's an influencer. And he said next week there's going to be an inner circle meeting and attendance is mandatory. He's still upset with Santana and Ortiz, and I guess next week they're gonna settle things. Damn it. We then had our main event, and right at about 9:15, we had MJF make his entrance. So we were looking at a very long main event match here. And MJF took a cheap shot at CM Punk right off the bat. CM Punk, of course, got a huge reaction in his hometown of Chicago. DJW sent in a very generous $9.99 super chat. Thank you for that, DJW. He says, did you notice the black string thing hanging from MJF's tights in the beginning of this match, Aaron? Nonetheless, I didn't expect this match to have as much time as it did. Underwhelming blow-off. I did not notice that, but yeah, I did figure that once they got started here. The only thing I was wondering was, were we going to have somebody debut at the end? Like it felt like something was going to happen here, some kind of big angle at the end. But anyways, let's talk about this match. I've seen a lot of different opinions on this one. I've seen some people say they loved it, lengthy, old school kind of wrestling match. And some people thought it was boring. I did enjoy it. I did think it was a really good match. Both guys were working their asses off. It kind of felt like it was slowing down towards the end. Maybe it was a little bit much with the selling, but you know what? Some people like that. So it just depends on your own taste. But I did enjoy the match. Both guys were working really hard. They fought in the crowd for a bit. CM Punk threw a drink in MJF's face. Kind of interesting that they were again. Why did they keep fighting in the crowd so much when you have all these people testing positive for COVID and cases are really high right now? And CM Punk made a big deal about people approaching wrestlers at airports saying there's still a pandemic and all this stuff. So it's kind of weird that they would be fighting in the crowd, and you could see tons of people there unmasked in the crowd as they're fighting. When you're wrestling on a national television show and there's a lot of money on the line, you would think that maybe they would cut out the brawling in the crowd. But what do I know? I'm not running the company, so they're going to do what they're going to do. And Punk went for the flying elbow right away, but MJF rolled out, and then CM Punk charged at him, but MJF sidestepped him. Punk went into the ring post, and Punk was pretty much selling throughout the entire match from this point forward. He kept on the offense though, and at one point he was on the outside with MJF, and he grabbed MJF and allowed a fan to chop MJF. That was pretty funny. And they were back in the ring, and MJF at one point pulled the referee in front of him, and then he grabbed some tape. The referee did not see the tape. He choked out CM Punk with the tape. Referee grabbed CM Punk's arm, held it up 3 times. They fell 3 times, and MJF was declared the winner of the match. But the referee noticed the tape after he raised MJF's hand, and the referee, he could have disqualified MJF, but decided that the match will be restarted. So the match continued. CM Punk was on fire for a bit. He did 20 punches, not 10 in the corner. He busted out a reverse Hurricane Rana, which actually looked like it hurt CM Punk more than it did MJF. CM Punk looked like he landed on his neck. It looked pretty nasty. And Then CM Punk managed to bust out the Pepsi plunge, but was unable to put away MJF with that. Punk did the big elbow drop, still could not put away MJF. Then they were on the outside of the ring. Wardlow showed up. Whose side is he on? We needed Bobby Heenan for this one to make the call. Wardlow walked over the body of MJF to act like he was protecting MJF, but then he stepped aside, giving CM Punk the opportunity to finish off MJF. But as CM Punk got back in the ring, he was still not trusting Wardlow. And sure enough, referee was distracted. Wardlow handed MJF the Dynamite Diamond ring. MJF used the ring on CM Punk when the ref wasn't looking, distracted by Wardlow, and then made the cover. 1, 2, 3. MJF has defeated CM Punk in Chicago. CM Punk taking his first loss. It was a swerve. Wardlow and MJF, all is good with them. So I'm a little surprised. I mean, I think MJF winning is the right call, but I was kind of hoping we would get some kind of major shocker, like Wardlow double-crossing him. Kind of saw that coming at the end there. But it was still very good. I still enjoyed the main event. And MJF, biggest win of his career, and they can always set up a rematch. I figured MJF would win this match. At least it made sense to me because you can always set up another match, whether it be at Revolution or whenever. You know, if you're going to keep the feud going for a little bit, you got to have the heel win and have the face try to get his win back. But yeah, CM Punk, I guess the first one didn't count, but he got beat twice, you could say, by MJF. So overall, very good show here from Dynamite. The big weak point was the Brandi Rhodes segment. Main event, absolutely, I think is worth watching. It might not be your cup of tea, though, if you like a faster-paced match. But if you like the old school stuff where they're selling a lot, then I would definitely recommend checking that out. Overall, the show is a recommend for me. Wasn't an all-time great Dynamite, but it was still a very solid show. I did enjoy it, and happy to see MJF building that momentum now and continuing his rise in AEW. So that's all I got for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. DJW sent in another $10 super chat, so thank you very much for that. He says, no DQ is the best. Reading your news, let me know the situation with Shane McMahon. What kind of message do you think this tells the locker room in WWE, and what kind of production error do you think Shane made? Well, we are going to talk way more into detail on that during the No DQ review. So make sure you guys tune in. I think, long story short, anybody can be gone. Nobody is safe, even the son of the boss. So you better watch your P's and Q's. And yeah, I'm sure more information will be coming out about Shane. This is an ongoing story here. Definitely a big shocker, though, for Shane to be gone from WWE. Is it forever? I can't imagine that he'll be gone forever, but I guess somebody had to take the blame for that men's Royal Rumble match not being very well received. So yeah, we'll have more to discuss with that coming up on the No DQ review. And of course, the latest information will be up on NoDQ.com. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe, especially if you're in my neck of the woods in Michigan or Illinois, Ohio, that whole area, most of the country, really. Very cold out there, lots of snow. Stay safe, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you all next time. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com.